alarm didn't go off. Emma simply opened her eyes at 6:30 on the dot, a silent internal clockwork she could never disable. Jake was still dead to the world beside her, sprawled across 3/4 of their queen-sized mattress, one arm dangling off the side, fingers brushing the worn carpet of their rental. She slipped out from under the comforter with the caution of a thief, careful not to jostle the bed. His alarm was set for 8. This early morning hour was hers alone, a sacred quiet time to wrestle their small apartment into order, brew the coffee, and pack his lunch for the day. Their first home together was a one-bedroom in a faceless beige complex on the edge of the city. The floors creaked with a personality the walls lacked, and the heating vents sighed and clanked through the winter. But it was theirs. 2 months since the courthouse ceremony, and the word husband still sent a quiet, warm ripple through her. Husband. My husband. It sounded so solid, so adult. While the strong, dark coffee bubbled in the old stovetop pot, she couldn't stand the cheap instant stuff, even if it was easier. Emma wiped down the laminate counters, hung yesterday's laundry on the rack near the hissing radiator, and filled the kettle. The routine was a meditation. Then the sizzle of eggs in the skillet, the clean slice through a tomato, the cool snap of a cucumber. She pulled her Greek yogurt and cottage cheese from the fridge. Jake never touched the yogurt. "That's girl food," he'd say with a grin. She bought it for herself. She was trying, always trying, to eat right, to build a good life, brick by careful brick. "Rise and shine, sleepyhead," she whispered, giving his shoulder a gentle shake. "It's almost 8. A grunt came from the pillow. He rolled over, burying his face. "Jake, come on, breakfast is getting cold." He finally pried his eyes open, stretched with a groan that cracked his jaw. "What time is it?" "8:15. "Emma, come on, you robbed me of 15 minutes. His voice was thick with sleep. "The eggs'll be rubber. Up, now." He shuffled to the bathroom. She listened to the water run, the vigorous brushing of teeth. He emerged in jeans and a faded band t-shirt, his hair a chaotic mess. "Smells amazing," he said, collapsing into a chair and reaching for the plate. "Eggs, you're a saint." Emma sat across from him, pouring his coffee. He ate with a focused, hungry speed, while she took small, deliberate bites of her cottage cheese, spooning the yogurt slowly. "Hey," he said suddenly, nodding at her cup. "Those yogurts, they expensive?" "Not really. About $1.50. $1.50 for that little cup?" He let out a low whistle. "That's like over $45 a month if you have one every day." "I don't have one every day," she shrugged. "Every couple of days." "Still adds up. You could get the store-brand yogurt, or just drink milk. It's cheaper." "Jake, it's my food. I'm not asking you to eat it." "I'm just saying we could be saving. We're supposed to be saving for a down payment, right?" Emma fell silent. Yes, they were saving, or rather, she was saving. Jake made more. He was a developer at a tech startup downtown, while she worked as an office administrator at a small medical practice. Yet somehow, her paycheck bled out on groceries, the utilities, the endless drip-drip of household needs, dish soap, light bulbs, toilet paper. Jake transferred his half of the rent faithfully and seemed to consider his financial duties complete. "Gotta run," Jake said, draining his coffee and planting a kiss on the top of her head. "I'll try to be back by 7. He was gone, and the apartment deflated into a profound quiet. Emma cleared the table, washed the dishes, got ready for her own day. Her shift started at 9. You know, it's stories like these that really make you think about the little cracks that can appear in what seems like a solid foundation. If you're finding this relatable, or if you've got your own thoughts on how partners navigate money and respect, I'd love to hear from you down in the comments. And if you want more deep dives into the messy, real stories of relationships, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. It really helps us keep telling these stories. The first month after the wedding felt like a permanent, gentle Sunday. Jake would come home, they'd cook dinner together, binge a show, talk about dreams. They wanted so much to save for a house, to buy real furniture that wasn't secondhand, to take a real vacation, maybe to the coast. Emma ran the numbers in her head constantly. With disciplined saving, in a year, maybe they could qualify for a loan on a small condo. But in the second month, the weather in their apartment began to change. First, Jake started staying late at work. Once, twice, then it was a pattern. Then he mentioned the guys were going for drinks after a sprint deadline. Was it cool if he got back around 10? Emma nodded. Of course, she wasn't a warden. He needed his own life, his friends. But once became a routine. Now, 2 or 3 nights a week, it was the bar with colleagues. He'd come home late, sometimes with beer on his breath, and collapse into bed. Fridays or Saturdays were reserved for the guys, watching the game at someone's apartment, a barbecue, a poker night. Emma held down the fort. She cooked, cleaned, did laundry, ironed his work shirts. On weekends, she'd meet her friend Sarah for a coffee, but she watched her spending. The money going into their savings account dwindled. Everything else was consumed by the cost of simply existing. Jake contributed nothing to the joint savings. Why would I? He'd ask, genuinely puzzled. I have my own expenses. I need to unwind. I'm grinding my gears out there. One Sunday night, when he stumbled in after 2 a.m., the dam inside her finally broke. Where were you? Her voice was calm, too calm, as he thudded onto the couch, shoes still on. Out with the crew. Emma, not now, okay? I'm wiped. You took $150 from the emergency cash last night for going out. That's what I make in a day and a half. He looked up, his eyes glassy. What? You spent a day and a half of my work on one night. He rubbed his face hard. Emma, listen, I work hard. I bring in money. I need to decompress. You get that? I can't just be locked in this apartment. I'm not your pet. I'm not saying you are. I'm saying we had a goal, an apartment, and you're blowing a hole in it every weekend. And you blow money on artisan coffee beans and organic yogurt, he shot back, his defensiveness sharpening into attack. You think I don't see the receipts? You buy the premium stuff and then give me grief. You want fair? Let's do fair. Let's split costs proportionally by income. Emma said nothing. The air felt thin. See, exactly, he pressed on, momentum building. If you make less, then your share of the luxury food should be less. You eat your fancy yogurt and your free-range chicken. I'll stick to hot dogs and frozen pizza. Honestly, your whole clean eating thing is lost on me anyway. I'm fine with the basics. You want to save? Start with your own gourmet habits. It's simple math. Fair's fair. Emma felt her insides crystallize into something cold and heavy. She wanted to speak, but the words were ash in her mouth. Jake pushed himself up and headed for the shower. She sat in the living room dark, listening to the water, then his footsteps, then the bed groaning under his weight. Soon the rhythmic sound of his snoring cut through the silence. She didn't cry. She just sat there, watching the sodium-orange glow of the streetlights paint geometric shapes on the opposite building. The new regime started the next day. Jake bought his frozen dinners and processed meat. Emma bought her greens, her salmon, her yogurt. They ate at the same table, different meals on different plates. Jake acted like it was a sensible business arrangement. Emma retreated into a silence so deep it felt oceanic. She had always been quiet, but now she was a ghost in her own home. She answered in monosyllables. Jake either didn't notice or chose not to. The bars, the friends, the late returns, it all continued. Their shared life became a series of parallel routines, 2 satellites in decaying orbits. But Emma held a secret, a small burning coal in the pocket of her heart. A month prior, her manager had called her in. Emma, you're one of our best, she'd said. The doctors rely on you, the patients ask for you. We're opening a new clinic across town, and I want you to run the front office. It's more responsibility, but the salary, it's a significant jump, almost double. Are you interested? Emma didn't need to think. Yes, absolutely. Great, start of next month, it's yours. That night, she had almost burst through the door with the news, but Jake came home late, smelling of bourbon and smoke, and fell into bed without a word. In that moment, she decided to keep it to herself, let it be her surprise, her secret leverage. She would tell him when the first big paycheck landed. That following month was a slow, painful stretch of tape. The same dawns, the separate breakfasts, the silent evenings. Jake was a roommate who occasionally slept in her bed. She missed the old Jake desperately, the one who'd look for her hand across the restaurant table. That man felt like a story she'd once read. On the first of the month, she started her new job. It was demanding, but she thrived. And when that first direct deposit hit her account, the number made her breath catch. It was more than Jake made. She came home early that day. He was at his gaming PC, headphones on, lost in some digital battle. "Hey," she said, dropping her keys in the bowl. "Hey," he muttered, not looking away from the screen. "We need to talk." "Yeah, give me a sec, just finishing this raid." Emma went to the kitchen, put the kettle on. 10 minutes later, he wandered in, stretching. "So, what's up?" She sat at the small table, gesturing for him to sit opposite. "I got a promotion a month ago. I'm the senior office manager at the new clinic now." "Wow, hey, congrats!" A genuine, surprised smile broke across his face. "That's awesome. They give you a raise?" "They did." She turned her phone around, showing him the banking app screen. His eyes scanned the number. He blinked, then nodded slowly. That's really great, Em. More than me. Good for you." "Yes," she said, holding his gaze. "More than you. And that's why I'm leaving." "Leaving? For what? A business trip?" "I'm going to stay with my mom for a while. I need to think about this, about us, about whether this arrangement still makes sense for me." His face went slack. "What? Emma, what are you talking about?" "Jake, you've been checked out for 2 months. You live here like it's a hostel with a laundry service. You're present for meals and sleep, and that's it. We don't talk. You suggested we split food like divorced parents because I earned less. Fine, now I earn more. But this isn't about a spreadsheet. It's about you not wanting to be here, with me. So I'm asking myself, what's the point of the marriage license?" "Jake, come on." He shot up, pacing the tiny kitchen linoleum. Work's been insane. I need to blow off steam. That doesn't mean I don't love you." "It doesn't mean you do either," she said softly. "For 2 months I've been a ghost in this apartment, and you haven't even tried to see me. You only heard me just now because I used the word leaving." "Give me a chance to fix it," he pleaded, his voice cracking. "I'll stop. No more bars. I'll come straight home. We'll have dinner like before. We'll talk." Emma shook her head. "I need time. I need to figure out if I even want to be with someone who only offers to change when he's about to lose something. That's not change born of love, Jake. That's change born of panic." She walked to the bedroom. He followed, a lost shadow. "Don't do this, please." She pulled a duffel bag from the closet and began to pack, her movements methodical, calm. He stood by the door, helpless. "How long?" he whispered. "I don't know. A week? 2? A month? I'll call you when I'm ready to have a real conversation." "And if you decide you're not coming back?" She zipped the bag shut and stood straight, looking at him, really looking at him for the first time in weeks. "Then we'll file for dissolution." She walked past him, shrugged on her jacket in the hallway, tied her shoes. "Emma," his voice was raw. She turned. "I do love you," he said, and the ache in it was unfamiliar, a sound from a man she used to know. "I know," she nodded. "I love you too, but love isn't the only ingredient, Jake. You need respect. You need to actually like being around the other person. And for the last 2 months, you haven't liked being here. The door clicked shut behind her. The city night was cool, a tapestry of distant traffic hum and neon. She called her mom. "Mom, can I come stay for a bit?" "Of course, honey. Is everything okay?" "I'll explain when I get there." In the back of the rideshare, watching her neighborhood blur past, she felt a terrifying, exhilarating mix of grief and freedom. A week passed at her mom's, a week of quiet support, of home-cooked meals that asked no questions. Jake called, every day, sometimes multiple times. Her answers were brief, firm. "I need more time." On the 10th day, he showed up at her mom's doorstep with supermarket tulips and a face etched with regret. "Can I talk to her?" he asked her mother. Emma came to the door, stepping out onto the concrete landing. "Hi," he said, thrusting the flowers forward. "These are for you." She took them, held them awkwardly. "I've been thinking, a lot." He took a shaky breath. "You were right. I was a selfish jerk. I am a selfish jerk. I treated my higher salary like a license to do what I wanted, and treated you like you were just there to manage the background noise of my life. I was wrong. I'm so sorry, Emma." She waited. "I don't want to lose you," he continued, his eyes desperate. "The apartment it's just an empty box without you in it. I come home and there's no light on, no smell of food, no one to ask me how my day was. I took you for granted. I took us for granted, and I hate myself for it." "The flowers don't fix it, Jake," she said quietly. "The apology only matters if the behavior dies. I need you to see me, to want to be with me, to choose our home over a bar stool, not out of obligation, but out of genuine desire. Forever, not just until you feel secure again." "I will," he vowed, his head bobbing. "I promise. Just give me a chance to prove it." She studied him, the earnest pain in his eyes, the set of his shoulders. It looked different this time. It felt real. "Okay," she said finally, "but not yet. I need a little more time, another week, maybe 2. I'll tell you when I'm ready to come home." The disappointment on his face was sharp, but he swallowed it. "Okay, I'll wait." He turned to leave, then stopped. "Emma, I love you." "I know. Goodbye, Jake." Another week of silence, of reflection. She didn't go back because she had fully forgiven him. She went back because she decided the story they'd started was worth one more honest, desperate draft. He met her at the door of their apartment, and he just held her tight and long. "Thank you," he breathed into her hair. "I won't screw this up, I swear." And he didn't, not perfectly, but he tried, really tried. He came home for dinner. The bar nights became a rare, pre-discussed event. He asked about her day and listened to the answer. The your food, my food policy vanished into a shared grocery budget and a fridge full of meals they both ate. He loaded the dishwasher, he ran the vacuum, he even learned to make a decent chili. Emma watched. She didn't just listen to his words, she audited his actions, and the balance sheet was slowly, steadily improving. One evening, curled together on the couch under a shared blanket, a movie neither was really watching playing on the screen, he squeezed her shoulder. "Em? Huh? Thank you for the second chance." "Don't thank me," she said, leaning her head against him. "Just don't make me regret it." She felt the rumble of his quiet laugh in his chest. "Deal." And in that moment, in the quiet, shared warmth, she allowed herself to believe they might just make it. The crisis hadn't broken them. It had burned away something fragile, leaving behind a tougher, more honest connection. They were partners again, not just on paper, but in the daily, chosen practice of building a life. It wasn't a happy ending. It was a better, more conscious beginning. A note to our listeners. This is a work of fictional narrative. All names, characters, businesses, places, events, and incidents are either the products of the author's imagination or used in a fictitious manner. Any resemblance to actual persons, living or dead, or actual events is purely coincidental.